Hi, I'm Max Temkin, one of the co-creators of Cards Against Humanity, and this is Tabletop Deathmatch, a competition to find the next great tabletop game. Last year, over 500 people submitted their unpublished games to a panel of expert judges. 16 finalists came to Gen Con to pitch their games in person, and one of those games will win a first printing paid for by Cards Against Humanity and be named the champion of Tabletop Deathmatch.
My name is Meg McGinley.
And I'm Josh Crow.
And my game is Pack the Pack. Josh and I, in 2007, started a podcast called Brilliant Gameologist, in which we talked about games and the people who play them. Nominated for an Emmy, we won a Parsec Award, we met lots of great people, and we spent a lot of time talking about and criticizing a lot of other people's games. And it was time to start doing some of our own. This was my idea for a game, and it was something that had been percolating in my head. I'd actually started to work on it for a totally different competition and had it in development with actually my brother. And then when I moved forward to this round, I brought Josh in to help me flesh out the final versions of all my rules.
I was the first play tester and the first, other person she showed, so.
We enjoy playing all games. I call myself a gamer because I like it all. I play poker and am really into that. I play video games. Josh isn't that big of a video game player.
No video games, but everything tabletop. Card games,
everything
board
tabletop.
games.
We've gone in, we've slain the dragon, we did an awesome job. Yeah, whatever, who cares about that? Now we get to go through all of the pile of loot, which are just like cards in the middle of the table, and try to fit it into our packs.
I like it because it's mostly a short game, and it gets your brain and your body pumping before you do something more complicated. So, as strange as it sounds, it's a simpler game that still is, but it isn't meaningless.
Meg and Josh, thank you so much for coming to show us Pack the Pack. Why don't you guys tell us about the game?
So Pack the Pack is an inventory Tetris cardboard game that is all about going and getting the really cool monster loot after you've raided the dungeon. But you know what, who cares about that part, right? You've killed the dragon, you've done all that, you know you're awesome. Now comes the real part. Fit all that awesome stuff into your bag and get back to town, sell it for as much money as you can. The idea is that there are cards with shapes, and you can overlay the cards, but you can't cross over the colors because you're trying to fit everything in the bag, right? So the boots can't go in on top of the armor, vice versa.
It's 3 to 6 players?
3 to 6 players.
It uses the tableau that you place in front of you. That's your pack, 10 by 6. The idea is to fill it, make sets, and it's sort of like a poker rules, either flushes of equipment. So you have either the...
So racial items, there would be a flush. You can have a straight, which is one of each item. You can have pairs, which are matching descriptors, and just trying to fill as much stuff as possible. The other thing that the game has is it's two totally different ways of playing. So
there's different groups. So some groups like to have a fast, slappy game, and some groups like to have a more tactical sort of game.
In this one, you get to do it. You get to grab, you get to fight, and that can be a lot of fun. Because in that idea, you're the adventuring group that here's the mound of stuff, you run for it, and everybody's just filling as fast as possible and trying to get back to town. So in that version, it's a speed game. You have all of the cards out in front of you, and you're just grabbing and trying to fill. And in that version, you're only looking at the colors of the cards, so which race card you've got, and how much stuff you can fill in your bag. In the other version, the strategic version, it's a drafting game. So you all have all the cards, you pick one, you play it, put it into your pack, and pass it along. Because that's the diplomatic adventurers, and those are the ones who are like, yeah, we're totally all gonna be fair here and get all the same stuff. No, you're not. This also really comes from a lot of inspiration of other games. I really like a lot of different game mechanics. I am so appreciative of games that can come up with new original ideas. I don't think there's a lot of new original ideas out there. And I don't think that there's a need to have brand new original ideas all the time. The game that really changed it for me was Dog. And it's the German board game, very much like Parcheesi or Sorry, but suddenly it got really fun. And the idea you could take really generic rules and mechanics of a board game and change it into something that's more strategic, I just think is really awesome. I like playing Pack to Pack firstly because I can play it two totally different ways. And I struggled for a long time because I knew that I wanted a game that was a dexterity-based speed game, because I really enjoy those. I love bananagrams because I love to be able to pull the tiles, and there's a technique just in who can flip your tiles over fastest, and I like that there can also be different levels of play and different levels of strategy. I don't think this game's for everyone, but I don't think every game's for everyone. It's totally draft and in production. I saw some others, and my God, those people are awesome. I have more work to do, but again, I think every game has more work to do. I think you can play test it to death. Here at Gen Con, I've been able to play test it quite a few times, and in that, I've been like, okay, I think I want to change this. But I think that's okay. So I'm happy with that. My inspiration for making this game was that I really enjoy inventory Tetris in terms of games. I love being able to put all the cool stuff in bags. And it's not usually a great part of games, and not everybody likes it, but I wanted to take it upon myself to make it as a board game and make it work.
All right, thank you guys so much for telling us about the game. I know Rodney has a burning question that he needs to ask immediately.
Yes, I do. So you said that you've played a lot of different games, and you think it's okay to take a design from another game and improve upon it. My question is, have you played the game Pack and Stack?
So while I was here, we did some panels here at Gen Con, and I talked about it with some people afterwards, and somebody told me about the game. I have not played it before, but I actually had somebody at Gen Con tell me about it.
We've got it set up here with a bunch of yellow cards on in the yellow thing, but is that correct, or would you have yellow and green and purple cards all together?
You could do either. So the colors actually came out of trying to limit how many different players there were, and so at first I just needed a way to control how many cards there were going to be in a deck. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll do different colors. And then as it evolved, it was like, well, the colors can be different races. So the colors are the racial cards. You get more points for having your own race card.
Right, but you can still get a straight by getting one of each of the colors in here. Okay.
It's just a matter, if you have 3 players, you would only have 3 different colors.
So what makes you think that people share your enthusiasm for a part of Diablo that Diablo itself even decided it didn't want to have anymore?
I know other people out there like it. Not everybody does, but not everybody likes, really dirty card games either.
Okay,
I think it worked.
But there are some what gives you a sense that in fact there's enough people that like this aspect of this game?
Because I think enough people like the idea of Tetris. Tetris was one of the most popular video games of all time. I think those of us that grew up on Tetris still have the music running in our heads. And that it could be a completely geometric game. I think, for example, the thing that Munchkin doesn't do well is it's really only funny if you are a gamer. I think that even non-gamers would have fun fitting geometric shapes into a pack.
So the other thing is, when you tell people about it and you say it's inventory Tetris, they instantly get it on some level that they're like, oh, I can see how to do that, and so.
Can we talk about the interactions for a second?
Yes.
So
sure.
I am playing a party of dwarves here. If I have this card.
You are one dwarf.
You are the party's dwarf.
Okay,
Yes.
so this should.
As we all know.
Yes, it should be
Dwarf.
dwarf.
So dwarf.
If
Okay.
you are the
So
dwarf.
I am the dwarf.
So
So I am trying to accumulate for myself. How do I interact with Elf Max?
So if you're playing the speed version, then you're just trying to take the stuff that he might want, but really is what's beneficial.
So how
for
do
you.
I take the stuff that he might want?
If he can't place something in his pack, he discards it back to the loot pile face up.
So he's drawing.
He's drawing from face down cards, and then if he can't use it, he places it face up.
So then, and he can't use it. So then I can just take it out of his stack. And,
You can take it out of in front of you,
in front of you,
all
the
players.
loot pile.
so then, what's the next style of the game then?
So then the draft game is you have all the cards in your hand. So
Okay.
share with Max all your
All right.
But you're not really sharing. You're
So
not
no,
gonna share.
I'm
You are
trying
going
to cheat
to
right
choose.
now.
Yes. Okay. So
I'm
you're
looking
going
over
to
Max's
choose
shoulder at his
what
cards.
either works for you or what you can see he's collecting, and you're going to screw him and take the card that you know that he needs and pack it yourself because you.
Okay.
Can
So,
Or dump
so
it.
there's the cards are face up that we're both drawing into, and then trying to.
You have.
Have you played Seven Wonders?
No.
You haven't played
Shut up!
Come
to my.
You have a hand, you get to keep one, and you pass the
you
rest
pass
of the hand
to the left.
to the left.
How big do you picture these?
That size.
This size?
That size. So this is a play mat.
And the cards fit on here?
Yes.
Yes.
They're the same size squares.
Not sure I get what the coloration on the cards is doing.
The cards are all one color.
But why is this square yellow and this square white?
The whites can be overlapped.
The whites you
Whites
can
are
overlap.
the area
Yes.
you can overlap.
Yes.
Okay. I'm
Yes.
glad I asked because I
Sorry.
completely missed that.
So you can
So
fit
this
the cards underneath.
This is legit.
Right.
Yeah.
He did say that.
But you can't put the white over something else.
Have you guys been playtesting this, and how are people? What have you learned about the way people learn this game and pick it up? Is it a pretty steep learning curve? Do people tend to get it instantly?
I really have found that people are getting it really quickly. And each time that I've been playtesting it, there has been the one thing that somebody screwed something up. I'm like, oh, I should have clarified that better. And so before we play it all, and as I'm explaining, have it in front of you and start touching the pieces and start trying to overlap them a little bit. Then it's like, all right, now. The strategy really is in the scoring, not so much just the overlap side of it.
Can you talk about where you are in the process of doing the graphic design for the game and where you want to go with it?
The one thing that I know for a fact that I want is I do want it to be cards. When I first started this, I was actually playing with Blockus shapes and ripped apart my Blockus game. Honestly, what it came down to, though, that's harder to produce than cards. And so I wanted to step back and take the solution of, could this be a card-based solution and playing inventory Tetris? When you think of Tetris, it's a lot easier to play with chits or just coloring in a graph or something like that. But I really wanted the visceral reaction of being able to move your cards around and placing them on top of each other. I love that dexterity piece of it. So the idea of, yes, there's a white space. It is a little bit weird that like the white can't overlay that. But that's part of the game and it's part of the strategy. In terms of like graphic design, of course, there's none.
What do you guys think makes this game special and makes it jump off of a store shelf or you know, off of a review website or something that's going to hook people?
I think it is a fun little game. And I'm using little very intentionally. It's not going to be your big strategy, like this is the thing that we're going to play to get together for 4 hours tonight. This is the thing you play before you get there, before you're playing your RPG or your really long...
Your Icebreaker.
Yeah, this is the Icebreaker game.
Unfortunately, we've got to wrap up the questions. We're going to hold on to your prototype for just a minute and tinker with it and talk about it. We're going to kick you guys out. Thank you so much for showing us the game. I really want to play with it and see how everything fits together here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When I'm not designing and playing games, which is my hobby and my interest in the thing that fulfills me as a gamer and as a human, I am working a lot. I actually have 2 full-time jobs. And I have 2 very, very small children. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So I have no time at all. And all my free time is really spent with games.
Judges, do you want to come up and take a look at the prototype? So I think maybe there was a little bit of defensiveness in the pitch of like, did this deserve to be a board game? Is the idea strong? And I actually think it's a strong idea. I mean, whether or not it's a fun part of a video game, you know, this is to me it's a solid promise for a board game. I'm curious to know what you guys think did they deliver on the promise?
I actually 100% agree. Even though I was the one throwing that question out there, I actually love that part of the video game too.
Well, and the reason people hate that part of the video game is not because they hate playing Tetris. It's because they have to do that before they can pick up this thing that they want to get, and then they have to go back to town in the middle of the adventure and stop everything. That has nothing to do with what's going on.
Right. Sure.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty solid. So.
I think she had a solid point. Until I actually started to put the cards over each other, I really didn't get it. But then once I started to play with it, I really, you know, it comes together.
Yeah,
quick.
I think we know what it's about now, and I think it took us a while to get to what it was about. So that's just a presentation issue.
Am I the only one that would just rather have chits and thinks that cards are going to shift?
I would rather have chits.
The only thing is that I totally agree. I would like to have the shaped pieces like in thick cardboard that you're putting them together and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the draft format doesn't support that very well at all. Having a whole bunch of chits in your hand
and you could. So if you look at the way this board is layered, where you have 5 of them on top of each other, if they're big thick cardboard pieces, they're gonna slide off of each other.
Yeah, this is the better format for this game.
I like the idea of a huge pile of chits in the middle that you're all just like, oh no, that's no good. Oh, I need that. I need that.
So here's the thing, though, right? If you go from cards to chits, this game is basically just pack and stack. Like this game already exists and is better and more elegant than this, right? So if you go to that, because I mean, like. The reason I asked that question first is because a lot of the designs we see in this are unique and fresh and new. This game already exists in a better, faster, easier format than what we're seeing.
Pack and Stack brand new?
No, it's been out for 3-4 years.
Okay.
I mean, it is not a new game. And like, just because 2 games are similar does not mean that the second one is bad. Don't get me wrong on that.
Right,
Right,
it's better.
It's the fact that this is so similar to it that I have no really good idea of what the niche is this is trying to fill.
Well, maybe the judges need to do a little research before we.
I'm calling you guys out.
Yeah.
Something else that threw me just a little bit about the presentation. Their own pitch for it is that it's a gateway. You know, it's an intro game. It's really simple. You pick it up instantly, and they haven't brought a lot of empathy to this prototype of how does someone take a glance at it and understand at it.
There's been a lot of people who talk about having like their game be like a sort of the gateway game or the warm-up game, but that game still has to be good. Yeah. Like that's not like an excuse for having like a slapdash game. It's like I think a lot of people get behind that and sort of get defensive if you approach their game from that aspect.
I want to talk to Max's point. So this is the Battle Axe of Doom, and its scoring area is in this purple band on the left. So that means that when you play it and you play another card on top of it, what you have is a bat. Right? I mean, you lose some element of the game that way. Right. So there's a real power to what Max is saying, is that even in this stage, you will notice this during playtesting. There may not have been enough playtesting.
Well, and it poisons your playtest data, because issues that are not gameplay issues, you know, like where people find things difficult to remember or understand, they're just design issues. You know, you're gonna, it's not gonna give you good feedback on it. All right, I think we're out of time for discussion, but we do need to bring in the next game.
It's not even about winning. Just the fact that we are getting notice at all from Cards Against Humanity is huge, and that's worth a win right then.